What's good, everybody? RJ Shelton here, back with another episode of Midwest Recap. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend. Let's go ahead and hop right into it here. Starting with my Wisconsin area, the Bucks yesterday went ahead and beat the 76ers 123 to 109. They are 24 of 17. Jeez, they are 24 and 17 for the record, fourth in the East. Wednesday they got the Pelicans. Thursday they have the Heat. And let's see what they got here. Saturday, they have the Clippers. Playing well. Good to see that we're the fourth seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Continue to play good Bucks basketball. Wisconsin Badgers men basketball. They went ahead this past week and went ahead and beat USC 84 to 69. Today, they go ahead and face UCLA. And then Sunday, they go ahead and face Nebraska. From a Marquette people, our Golden Eagles went ahead and lost Saturday to Xavier 57 to 59. Tough one, but got a couple bounce back games this week. They go ahead and face Seton Hall today, and then Friday they go ahead and face Villanova. And then last but not least here, obviously we heard the tragic news of Bob Uecker passing. Basically the pillar of Milwaukee baseball, Brewers baseball. Unreal announcer. Everyone loved him. True honor to go ahead and be able to hear him call a lot of big games throughout his career. He did die at 90, but if you look at that number, man, he lived a fulfilled life and will always be remembered. Excuse me. And I think this year is going to be a special year. I know that it sucks that he's not going to be there, but do what we did last year. I think we're definitely going to go ahead and have a chance to get into that World Series and bring it home. But rest in peace, Mr. Bob Uecker. You mean a lot to Milwaukee, you mean a lot to the state of Wisconsin. You will be dearly missed. And then moving on over to the Michigan area. As we all know, the Detroit Lions lost to Commanders 45 to 31. Season is over for them. Tough loss. I mean, Commanders just came, into your home state, came in ready to play. Jaden Daniels, I guess now is a new incoming star at the quarterback position. He played incredible. Jared Goff, you can't have 3 interceptions. You can't go ahead and turn the ball over in these type of games because every little detail matters for you to go ahead and get to the next step. You got to tip your ball cap to the Commanders. They came in with a purpose, and you got a little flat-footed. So sick to see that all the NFC North teams are out, but there's always next year and the year after that. But that was a tough one to go ahead and see for the Detroit Lions. And then our Detroit Pistons here, they are 9th in the Eastern Conference, 21 and 21. They go ahead and face the Hawks Wednesday and the Magic on Saturday. Michigan State basketball, huge win against the Final Illini, 80 to 78, which was on Sunday. Some of the other ones that I said yesterday, I meant Sunday. They go ahead right now. They're 17 and 2, first in the Big Ten. This week, Saturday, they go ahead and face Rutgers. So they kind of got a little break there. But you can't sleep in the Big Ten because all these teams are definitely going to go ahead and gun for you, especially being at the number 1 spot. So it's good to see Michigan State basketball competing at a high level. I definitely see them to go ahead and win this thing if they continue to play the way they're playing. Then moving on over to the Minnesota area, the Timberwolves are 22 and 20. They go ahead and face the Mavericks Wednesday, and then they face the Nuggets on Saturday. And then moving over to Minnesota Gophers men's basketball, they go ahead and face Iowa today, and then Saturday they face Oregon. So for the state of, obviously, Minnesota, due to the football team being done as well, them being bounced in the first round, which was sick. I haven't talked about that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get into it when I talk about the plain and simple segment. Sick that it's over, but you got some basketball to go ahead and now rotate into because I do feel the Timberwolves are going to be a good team this year. They're definitely going to make some noise in the playoffs, and especially with the Gophers. I mean, the Gophers men's basketball team has always played well. What I've seen, there might be some games where they get blown up, but they compete. This past week, they went ahead and beat 20-ranked Michigan, on a last-second shot, winning 84 to 81. So you got to go ahead and tune into your basketball teams because they do compete. And when you have a competing team, especially from college and NBA, it's always good for the city. Then moving on over, lastly, to the Chicago area. The Chicago Bulls are 18 to 25. They went ahead and lost Sunday to the Trailblazers, 113-102. This week, they have the Warriors, and on Saturday, they have the 76ers. So be tuned into that for the Bulls. And then final Illini basketball, as I mentioned earlier with Michigan State, they went ahead and lost there 78-80. They go ahead and face Maryland, and then Saturday they face Northwestern. That Northwestern game is definitely going to be a little in-state rival. I've heard that, it's not a rival. No, it is a rival. From what I see, Northwestern and Illinois being in the same state, got to have bragging rights. So that's what we're looking like. And then, lastly, Northwestern Wildcats men's basketball as well. They lost to Michigan 80-76. They go ahead and face Indiana Wednesday. And then, as I just mentioned earlier, they got that in-state rival on Sunday. And then let's transfer over here to the plain and simple segment where I kind of go ahead and talk about things that I feel need to be addressed within, the Midwest, but also outside of it, but majority of it in the Midwest. As I mentioned earlier with our NFC North division here, just to go ahead and kind of give you a brief, description of this 2024-2025 season. Lions were 15-2, Vikings were 14-3, Packers were 11-6, and the Bears were 5-12. As I said, all of our teams, Lions, Vikings, Packers, got bounced within the first round. Hate to see it due to kind of what we anticipated going into this season. I've said multiple times on here that this was the best division. I still believe that this is the best division. It's just the teams that, so happen the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers played. There's opportunities to go ahead and make plays or do what needs to be done to be in the ball game, and he just came up short. But all in all, I think this was a really good season. Continue to see this division be a very good division through the years to come and more. So definitely want to go ahead and talk about the Packers here. Obviously, me being a diehard Packer fan, I don't know if most know. Now you know. 11-6, definitely something that I didn't see coming. I thought we would go ahead and be maybe 14-3 or maybe 15-2 or 14-3, as I said, like the Vikings were. A lot of opportunities that we did leave out on the table, throughout this whole season. Matt LaFleur and the play calling from the offensive perspective, kind of not going ahead and being more of an aggressor and to go ahead and make plays and call the right plays for our guys to go ahead and execute. But at the same time, whatever's called is called. You got to make it work. Do I think Jordan Love played good this year? I do. Do I think he could have played better? Absolutely. Just due to this Eagles game, you can't turn the ball over. You can't throw interceptions. You have to be precise in what you're doing. There was, things that I can recall in my brain right now where, he had that one-on-one opportunity with Wicks. I know that's a home run ball, but, kind of throw that, to where your guy can only get it. I know it was maybe where Wicks maybe might have had to go ahead and get it. But, in those certain times, you got to go ahead and be smart with the football. And then obviously the interception to where he threw it basically right to the middle of the linebacker. I mean, he was staring down the guy the whole time. It's just we can't be having things like that. Do I think he's going to grow from that? I hope so. Do I think that, the big thing there is that Matt LaFleur and, Jordan Love have to be on the same page, and to where now it's this trust factor to where you need to make sure that both of you are on the same page, because if you don't have that relationship in the NFL, it's not going to work out. I mean, it's that simple. It's not something that you can, go ahead and rely on Josh Jacobs in certain times, which you can. I mean, he did a very unreal job against the Eagles. I mean, watching that live, I was at the game. I'm like, this guy is unreal. I mean, this was a Goots unreal pickup negotiation. However, he got him to come over to Green Bay was incredible. I love everything about that, but it heavily relies on the quarterback position in these moments, and our guy didn't get it done. But we have to go ahead and somehow in the offseason see the relationship between Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur to where they trust each other, to where now he's being more vocal amongst his peers, amongst his team, to go ahead and lead. Yes, I know he's young, but you went ahead and you were behind a guy in Aaron Rodgers that not even demanded, but his presence were felt in the huddle, around the building. Granted, I know Jordan Love's probably already doing it, but now it's even more to a stage where you have to take a little bit more ownership in what's going on. You know, you hear the Tucker Crafts coming out and talking, which was good. You heard, obviously, Josh Jacobs coming out and say what he needed to say. McKinney as well. You know, guys that care, and that's what you want to see. When I look at that, I don't look at it as like, oh, we need to be worried. I look at that as that these guys want to win, and these guys want to win now. So I think this offseason, you know, there's a lot of talk about, okay, do we go get Max Crosby? Absolutely. I think we should definitely make, and not say an effort, but we should definitely go ahead and figure out how we can go ahead and get him to Green Bay if we can. Based off this last game, our D line, and as we've said earlier with my good brother James Menchow, aka Jimmer, on our Wisconsin Sports Beady Boys segment, that they look great. The defense, from a defensive line standpoint, yeah, you hold Saquon Barkley, he's going to go ahead and get off, but you held your team, or held a cushion for your offense to go ahead and get you in the game. And obviously we failed from the offensive perspective, but say we don't get Max Crosby, do I like the guys that come back? Yeah, I think what they showed me in this Eagles game, that they are going to compete and they're going to go ahead and get better each game. And let's not be, hide the elephant in the room. We drafted very well last year defensively. And if it comes to that point, I know the front office is going to go ahead and get the guys that we need for the primary positions to go ahead and get right back to where we were, getting the playoffs, winning NFC North championships. So I'm not really worried. But if we do get Max Crosby, that's a huge bonus, because you see in these playoffs right now, defensive linemen are making plays. I mean, if you watch that, Rams versus Eagles, you saw the D line basically control the whole game. Individual guys, Carter, Verse, those guys coming in and being disruptors on the D line. And I think that's what we need. We need one guy to go ahead, and do it. If they can go ahead and find a guy, or if, Rashawn Gary somehow turns it on, even though he played well, he got us a sack and things like that, applying pressure. We just have to go ahead and find that home run guy. Now, from obviously talking about the defense, now let's move over to the offense. Okay, you go ahead and sit here and say that the wide receivers aren't good enough. We need a guy. Me personally, now kind of just chilling, relaxing, and just looking at this from a whole, bigger perspective and a broad perspective. Jalen Reed is fine. Wicks is fine. Christian Watson is fine. Romeo Doubs is fine. Yeah, okay, they dropped the ball, this, that, and the third. Maybe had some fumbles, things like that. But I don't think the right decision is to go ahead and break all those guys up. Granted, I know that Christian Watson is sick, that he got injured, and he might go ahead and maybe test the waters. Maybe a team goes ahead and pays him what he wants. Do I think that'll happen? It might. I mean, he's a very good player and things like that, but I think the biggest thing here is because you have Wicks and Jalen Reed. You got them, I think, for 1 year or maybe another year. I think Dobbs might be in that same boat, or he might be looking at a negotiation. But all in all, I think what this young group of guys need, because I believe in every single one of them, I think that they bring their own unique trait to this offense. The team, or these guys, weren't being held back. It was their head coach, Matt LaFleur, I think, not believing in them and in the passing game. So I don't really go ahead and look at it as like, okay, these guys are the problem. I look at it from a broad perspective of what are the coaches doing to get these guys involved to make them get in a rhythm. Me being in the position of when I have played and things like that, once you go ahead and get in that rhythm, then you know what to expect. Okay, like third down, all right, bet. I know that we're going to go ahead. I'm going to have an opportunity to get the ball. That's just kind of what, I'm seeing, into where there's just no rhythm within that pass game. So I don't think it's the, looking at we need to get guys gone. One thing that I think will definitely help, and tremendously, not just for those guys, but for the team as well, you got to bring Davante Adams back. I think this is the best decision for the Packers to go ahead and give them number one veteran in that room. He's still going to go ahead and produce. And I think when he's, done, he's going to go out being a Packer, coming back, and just the culture of just not only getting the room right, but also getting the offense right and holding them to a standard. Because once we've seen with Aaron Rodgers, with, Davante Adams, there is a standard that was set. Like, hey, we're coming in here, we're going to do our thing. One-on-one, we're winning. We're going to get in the pass game. We're going to be assertive. And I think bringing him back is just going to help this team tremendously. And it's, again, like if I was in that position and I had an old head meaning veteran, for all the people that don't know what I'm talking about, I think this is a great move for the organization to bring him back. He's another weapon. He still has, I would say, a good 2 to 3 years. If he wants to come back bad, you can definitely get him on a good deal. Yeah, you might go ahead and eat maybe, a little bit of his contract, but you can definitely negotiate that through the draft, through the offseason, through free agency. So my biggest thing is, I would love to have Max Crosby. That would be huge. But if we don't, I'm not going to cry over it. But I definitely want to see Davante Adams back in a green and yellow jersey. That would be top tier for this team. Moving on for, let's say, 2 to 3 years, especially if Christian Watson doesn't go ahead and get picked up and he does come back on kind of a pretty good deal. Once he comes back, through that window, because it's probably going to take him a year, if not 2, because then we don't have to rush him. We don't have to rush, Christian Watson, who's a very good wide receiver, who's grown on me throughout this year on how good he is in regards to taking the top off the defense. He's still able to run those in-between routes, say 10 to 15 yards, and he's speed kills. So, he comes back, or takes his time, but we still have a guy to replace him in Davante Adams that can go ahead, take the top off of the defense still, and can get off the line or whatever and be a number one for this team as of right now. There ain't nothing wrong with spreading the ball out if you're winning ball games. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I hope the Packers maybe look at it the way I do. If not, I think the big thing is just to get Davante Adams back in a green and yellow jersey. That would be sick. And then let's move on over lastly here. I mean, unreal football for the NFL playoffs that we saw this past weekend. The Ravens versus the Bills, sick for Lamar. But the Bills won that one 27-25. As I mentioned earlier with the Eagles went ahead. They won that one 28-22. Commanders against the Lions. Lions lost that one, as I mentioned, 45-31. And then you got the Chiefs versus the Texans. Chiefs won that 23-14. Just from just all these games that are just like ones that just pop out the most is just Jaden Daniels. I mean, for a rookie to come in and do what he did, hostile environment, come in and be very efficient, 22 of 31 from the field, basically 300 yards throwing and 2 touchdowns, to where you're facing a guy in Jared Goff who is a top 10 quarterback within this league, and you come into his house and you do what you did. Hey, man, that's MVP. That's being a playmaker for your team to come and do what you did against the Lions. So shout out to Jaden Daniels. That was an unreal performance. And let's see what you guys got against the Eagles. And then just the sickening gut rot of me feeling for Lamar Jackson. I mean, if we all saw the game, he was 18-25 from the field, 250 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, also had a fumble. They just get right to it. It's sick that Andrews had to, drop that. Yeah, okay, he had that before, that happened. But when you have an opportunity to close the game, you got to put the fries in the bag. You have to make the play. I was sick to my stomach watching it. Going through your mind at the end of the day, if you would ask me, it's like, I just got to catch the ball. And that's plain and simple of what it is. There ain't nothing around it. Sick about it, but let's see what the Bills do against the Chiefs. Josh Allen is 0-3 versus Patrick Mahomes in these type of games. Hopefully that changes. Do I think it might happen? I don't know. I hopefully, but this is looking like the Chiefs are going to go ahead and go to another Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. And, maybe most of America is with me, but hopefully I'm wrong. And then last but not least here, obviously the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, man. Like, we were watching a guy single-handedly do what we all know that he can do. I mean, 26 carries for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unreal. Sick that, Packers couldn't go ahead and take care of it, but, I went to Philadelphia and kind of got a taste of what that's like. And, I'm not going to go ahead and hate, because at the end of the day, if I'm hating, why would I do that? Do I dislike the Eagles? Yeah, but I'm going to give credit when credit's due. So shout out to the Eagles going ahead and taking care of that. As we all know now, it's locked in. NFC North Championship, we got the Commanders versus the Eagles. And then the AFC Championship, we have the Chiefs versus the Bills. This is easy for me for the NFC. Taking the Eagles, man. They're tough at home. Jalen Hurts is one of them ones. That's why he wears one. I got much respect for him. I used to dog him a lot, but just what he's done with his team, yeah, he's got pieces around him, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's a winner. So I'm going to take the Eagles in that one. And then Bills versus the Chiefs. Sorry, Bills Mafia. I'm going to go ahead and take the Chiefs. I just don't see them losing at home. And do I think Josh Allen can go ahead and throw this game, in meaning of throwing to win? I don't know. I don't think he can. And I really don't think that they're going to go ahead and shock the world in beating the Chiefs at home. So those are my picks. So then with that, man, we got the Eagles versus the Chiefs. We had one of those matchups, and it was very crazy. And I think that's where Jalen Hurts went in and set the record for most rushing yards. So we shall see. Hopefully I'm wrong. But you never know. It's the game of football, and those games will be definitely this weekend. So with that, obviously we have more episodes coming up. Got the BD Boys and also the Spartan Dogs episode. Hopefully you guys are having a great day up to this point. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Peace out, everybody.